Today, we're tackling a huge topic: work in India. It's an economy with over 500 million workers, but it's a world of stark contrasts. Think shiny tech parks right next to vast farmlands. We're going to break down who these workers are, what they do, and the massive economic forces that are shaping their lives.
So, let's start with a really basic question, one that we all think about. Why do we even work? I mean, yeah, we need a paycheck, right? But is that all there is to it?
Okay, so obviously earning a living is a huge part of it. No surprise there. But the source material makes a really important point. Work is about so much more than just money. It's about dignity, right? That sense of self-worth you get. It's how we connect with people. And on a grander scale, it's how we all chip in to build the country.
All right, so to really get our heads around this massive topic, we've got to get the basics right first. Let's start with a key definition. In the world of economics, what actually counts as work?
Well, simply put, an economic activity is anything, and I mean anything, that adds to the country's gross national product. So it's like this: whether you're a farmer growing crops, a factory worker building a car, or a coder writing software, you're adding value. You're part of the national economy.
And that brings us to the next point. Who is a worker? It's not just someone with a 9-to-5 job and a boss. The definition is way broader. It covers all the self-employed folks out there: farmers, shop owners, you name it. Basically anyone doing one of those economic activities, even if they're, say, out sick for a week or taking time off for a festival.
Okay, so when you use that broad definition, the numbers are just mind-boggling. India's workforce is about 545 million people. Just let that sink in. That's one of the biggest workforces on the entire planet. A massive engine of human potential right there.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. This table shows us the worker-population ratio. In simple terms, it's the percentage of people who are actually working. The overall average is about 41%. But you've got to look closer. The real story is in the details. Check out the huge gap between men and women. 54% for men, but just 27% for women. And then look at the cities. That gap gets even wider. Female participation plummets to under 19%. Wow. So seeing a number like that, it just begs the question, right? Why? Why are so few women officially counted as part of the workforce? What is going on here?
Well, according to the source material, it boils down to two big things. First, there are social norms. Sometimes families discourage women from taking jobs. But the second reason is a massive blind spot in how we count work. Think about all the essential household work: cooking, cleaning, taking care of the family. It's endless, vital work, but it's unpaid. And because it's not officially part of the economic data, the real contribution of women just gets completely overlooked. It's huge.
Okay, so we have this massive workforce, right? But it's not just one big uniform blob. To really understand it, we need to slice it up into three main categories. This is super important if you want to see the full picture.
And check this out. This might surprise you. More than half, a whopping 57% of all workers in India are self-employed. These are people running their own show, their own small businesses, just to make a living. The rest is pretty much split down the middle between casual workers and those with regular salaries. So when we say self-employed, what are we talking about? Well, picture your local store owner, or a farmer out in their field, or even a street vendor. They're their own boss, and they make up the single largest group of workers in the entire country. Then we've got the casual laborers. Think about construction workers, for example. These are folks who don't have a steady, long-term job. They get hired for a day or for a specific task, and they get paid, but there's zero job security.
And last but not least, we have the regular salaried employees. This is what many of us think of when we hear the word job, right? An engineer working for a company getting a regular paycheck. But here's the kicker. This group, the one we think of as normal, is actually the smallest piece of the entire workforce pie in India.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Because over the last 50 years or so, the whole landscape of work in India has been completely transformed. There's been this epic shift in where people earn their living. And wow, this table really tells the story. Back in the early 70s, almost 3/4 of the workforce was in farming. I mean, 74%. Now jump to today, and that number has dropped to under 47%. So where did all those people go? Well, they've been moving into industry, and even more so into the services sector.
But, and this is a really big but, this massive economic change came with a very troubling side effect. It's a phenomenon that economists have a name for: jobless growth.
Basically, it means the economy is growing. The GDP is going up, but it's not creating jobs at the same pace. The growth isn't translating into employment. And this chart right here, it's the perfect illustration of that problem. Look at the late 1990s. You see that big bar for GDP growth? The economy's booming. But then look at the little bar next to it for employment growth. There's this huge widening gap. The country was getting richer, but it just wasn't creating enough new jobs for its people.
So, you have this jobless growth, and that leads us straight into the single biggest, most defining feature of India's workforce, and that is informalization.
All right, let's get this straight, because it's critical. You have the formal sector, think government jobs or big companies. These jobs come with security, benefits like pensions, and you're protected by labor laws. And then you have the informal sector, and that's, well, pretty much everyone else. No job security, no benefits, no legal safety net, nothing.
So, take a guess. What percentage of India's entire workforce is stuck in this unprotected informal sector? The number is, honestly, it's hard to believe. It's a staggering 94%. Let me say that again, 94%. That means only 6 out of every 100 workers in India has what we call a formal, secure job.
And that's not just a number on a slide. This is the lived reality for hundreds of millions of people. People like these brickmakers you see here, doing back-breaking work every single day with absolutely no safety net to catch them if they fall.
To see just how devastating this can be, the source brings up the story of Ahmedabad in the 1980s. The city's famous textile mills started shutting down. We're talking about over 80,000 workers who had secure, formal jobs, good jobs, and overnight they lost everything. They were literally thrown from a stable, middle-class life straight into the uncertainty of the informal sector. Many of them fell into poverty.
And so, all of this brings us to the one giant question that will define India's future. As the economy keeps getting bigger and growing, how does it create not just more jobs, but better jobs, more secure jobs? How does it make sure that the 94% are part of that growth story and not just left behind?